When are you going to stop doing that hard math we can't understand? Today I'm going to try and do some easy math. So stick around and we'll see what we can put on the board for you. Guys, roll the music.
Must have a code that you can live by, and so become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye. Teach your children well, their father's help, it slowly go by. And feed them on your dream, the one they fix, the one you know by. Don't you ever ask them why, if they told you you would die. So just look at them and sigh.
Well, here we are again, and like I say, we sometimes get carried away on the show. It's my show. I can talk about any topic I like on the show, and there's hard topics that I start thinking about, and I say, I can do this on TV, and sometimes it's maybe a harder topic than I actually should have done on TV. So people say, Marty, do some easier topics. They also have asked us, Marty, clean the blackboard. And before the show, our co-host Neil has actually cleaned the board, and we consider it somewhat improved from the way it's been in previous shows. I'd also like to thank the little kids at Samuel Burland School in St. Vital for inviting me down to their school for Science Day, and we had a nice little talk with the kids about science topics. And unfortunately, they don't get the show because they're on the wrong side of the river, but we've got great news for all the people living east of the Red, that our new summer schedule has come out, and Math with Marty is moved to the Tuesday night time slot at 10:30 Tuesday nights, I think. And the way they work things at the station here, it means we will now be beamed across the river to the east side, so everyone can enjoy the show now. In the meantime, here we are, and I said we'd do an easier topic today. We did this thing a few weeks ago that people kind of liked when I was adding up sine waves, and it was kind of easy, and I thought, well, yeah, I should expand on that, and I started thinking about it all week, and I thought, what's the purpose of using these sine waves in math and science? Why are we using sine waves all the time? So I thought up a real good example of where they're used in the calculation of heat transfer and a lot of fancy stuff, and then today I realized that's a hard topic, and I'll do that in a couple of weeks. But today we're going to do easy topic. The topic is energy. The topic is energy because energy is a beautiful topic. It occurs in science all over the place, and the beautiful thing, it's a unifying feature of science because energy occurs in diverse branches of things, and it allows you to figure out the way something works, and if you don't understand the way it works, well, you can say, well, let's look at the energy and see, does the energy make sense? So we're going to look at some examples of comparing energy in diverse situations. And what I'd like to do is start off by saying the annual revenues of Manitoba Hydro, well, a couple of years ago, they were something over $300 million. I don't know if they're $400 million yet. But let's say Manitoba Hydro is a $400 million a year. Company, $400 million per year. And this is value of energy. It's electricity, electrical energy, and we pay about 5 cents a kilowatt hour for electrical energy. And if you divide 5 cents a kilowatt hour into $400 million, you'll find out that they're not selling all that many kilowatt hours, and it turns out they sell a lot more kilowatt hours than you'd think, because what they get on average for their electricity, the last time I looked, it seemed like it was a lot closer to 2 cents a kilowatt hour. Well, let's see what it is. They have 4,000 megawatts of installed capacity. 4,000 megawatts of generating power. Now, Seven Sisters Generating Station, which was the biggest station they built and the last station they built on the Winnipeg River system, that was a 150 megawatt plant. 150 megawatts. That's Seven Sisters. But then they started going north, and they had these things, Kettle Rapids, and the control structures and this and that, and they had the one on the mouth of the Saskatchewan River. Those are like 500 megawatt plants. That was the first ones they built up north, was like 500 megawatts. But then when they got into Long Spruce and Conwap and Genpeg, I think was like that control structure partly. I think it was more like a 500 megawatt thing. But when they got into Long Spruce and that, let's say 500 megawatts, I think that would be Genpeg. I don't know, I'm making this up, but it's sort of right. But then when they got into Long Spruce and that, you're talking 1,000 megawatt stations. 1,000 megawatt stations. And this is, well, you can see it's 1,000 megawatts. What have they got on the board for me? My God. The people cannot see the writing on the board when you do that, for God's sake. Now, you can see it's 1,000 megawatts because, look, they're going 1,000,000 volts DC. They're going 1,000,000 volts DC, and they're sending 1,000 amps. 1,000,000 volts times 1,000 amps is 1,000 million volt amps. 1,000 million volt amps is 1,000 megawatts. So you can see it adds up. Does it add up?
Sure does.
Yeah, it adds up. So altogether, when they started building these big stations, we got a lot of installed capacity, 4,000 megawatts. But that represents the number of generators that are online. And there isn't always enough water to turn all those generators at full power. So the generators aren't always spinning all of them as fast as they can. So based on the amount of water flowing through them, in my opinion, typically they're generating an average of 2,000 megawatts, average generating power. I don't think their peak has ever been really much above 3,000, but you need a little bit extra capacity. So we've accounted for their 4,000 megawatts. I'm going to take these guys. They give me this rinky-dink board. I wish I had a long board, but we're going to have to rub off some of our previous figures to put more figures now. And we're going to say that they're putting out electricity at an average rate of 2,000 megawatts. 2,000 megawatts. And this is megawatts, megajoules per hour. Mega kilowatt hours.
Megajoules per second.
Megajoules per second. Yeah, okay. I think we got to relate this to kilowatt hours somehow. We got to say how many hours there are. That's right, in a year. In a year, there is approximately 10,000 hours. It's 8,000 and something, but we'll call it 10,000 hours. So I'm going to multiply my 20,000 megawatts by 10,000 hours per year, and I'm going to get 20,000, well, it's going to be 20,000, looks like 20 million megawatt hours. That's how much electricity we sell every year, 20 million megawatt hours. And we want it in terms of kilowatt hours, because kilowatt hours is how much we know the price is. Kilowatt hours, it's going to come to 2 cents a kilowatt hour. I can see the figures coming, trust me, because if we multiply this, see, I got my megawatts and kilowatts here. I'm going to have to iron out. You understand? Okay. Did you say no? No. Okay, that's a separate side conversation. That's okay. Let me just convert it straight to kilowatt hours, which means instead of megawatt hours to kilowatt hours, I'm going to have 3 more zeros. So instead of 20 million, going to be 20 billion, okay? 20 times 10 to the 9th kilowatt hours times $0.02, which is 2 cents, $0.02 per kilowatt hour, equals 2% of 20 is...
You should take those slashes out of there. Kilowatt hours is not a slash. It's a
Oh,
multiplication.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, this shouldn't have the slash. You're right, it should be a
I
little...
don't mean to sound so indignant.
Okay, no, it's right. You're right.
And above it, might as well.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
consistency.
It's an outrage. It's an outrage. 2% of 20 is 4/10, so it's 0.4 times 10 to the 9th dollars, which is $400 million. Okay, you multiply this out, and it comes to the figure I said, $400 million per year, which means the generators are cranking out, like I say, 1,000,000 volts, 2,000 amps at 2 cents a kilowatt hour, $400 million a year business. Nice business. An interesting thought is that if we could sell electricity for what they sell it in, let's say New York City, where the consumer is paying 20 cents a kilowatt hour for electricity, at least 10 cents. I mean, they're not, I don't think in the States they pay less than 10 cents anywhere, but, you know, in the high price places it's 20 cents. You realize this would be a factor of 10 on the total revenues to the company. And
Didn't you say a little earlier that we paid about 5 cents a kilowatt hour?
we pay about 5 cents, but there's all these sort of heavy industrial customers, and they got power sharing with other utilities and stuff. By the time you average it all out, they're only getting about 2 cents a kilowatt hour. Strange as it seems. I don't know. Well, this is why when they have this big scandal that Hydro-Quebec is selling power to Alumex for 1.5 cents a kilowatt hour. Well, okay, we must be doing the same thing, because if we're selling some for 5 cents and we're averaging 2 cents, we must be selling power for 1 cent, the same as those guys. So with these...
Unless you just made up that number, but I assume you have some...
Like, how far off could I be? How far off could I be? Because look at it another way. There's 4,000 employees at Manitoba Hydro. If you divide 4,000 into 400 million, you have an average cost of $100,000 per employee, which is what they all get, isn't it? I think so. 4,000 into 400 million would be, well, 400 into 400 million would be $1 million. So times it by 10 would gun down to 100,000.
Actually, we know a guy about to get laid off, so it'll be 2,000 and 3,999.
Okay, they say a guy is getting laid off at Hydro, so it'll be down to 3,999, we're told. But in other words, if they were making a heck of a lot more than $400 million, and they'd have to spread it among 4,000 employees, well, the $100,000 is sort of a joke, because, you know, your payroll is really 50% of your total cost of running the business, typically. So really, they're only getting $50,000 apiece. So you figure, I mean, that's about right. I mean, how far off could I be is what I'm trying to say. 400 million is about right. And like I say, if they were selling it for 20 cents a kilowatt hour instead of 2 cents, it would be $4 billion, not 400 million. It would be, what is the total budget of the province of Manitoba, the provincial government? I don't think they spend $4 billion in a year. I think they have a budget of about $3 billion. In other words, we wouldn't need income tax, we wouldn't need sales tax, we wouldn't need property tax, we wouldn't need anything. If we could get what they get for electricity in New York City, we could do the whole thing on what we sell electricity for. And by the way, we could get it. We just have to jack up the price. I mean, people still have to buy it. You can't really stop buying it. You wouldn't have to fill out income tax forms. You wouldn't have to ring up the sales tax. I mean, it's not really as idiotic as it seems, because basically all the revenues of the government is just money being pulled out of the economy one way or the other. And people are so fussy about the way they account for it. They say, like, every time the government wants to bring in a new tax, they say, oh, you just bring it in because you want to shift the burden away from your friends in the upper classes and put it on the working class. Like, basically, the working class is paying all the taxes anyways. I mean, wealth is created by the working people, so they're paying all the taxes. You can't do anything about it. You might as well just hit them right in the electric bill. What's the difference? Either way, they're going to pay it. So, what I'm trying to say is, here we got $400 million a year, and I was going to try and relate this as an energy concept to other concepts in energy. But
well, before you just skip off this, I had a thought, and I asked myself, what would I guess to be the amount of power used by the people of Manitoba? So it seemed to me for every man, woman, and child in the province, 1 million people, I'd say about a kilowatt. A kilowatt is burning all the time. You don't always have a kilowatt going in your house, but there's hospitals running and there's factories running.
Okay.
But now it looks pretty bad because a kilowatt for 1 million people is a gigawatt.
No,
I mean,
it adds up to kilowatt times 1 million people. Adds up to.
Oh, and times 10,000 hours. Yeah, I wanted to see if I could relate it to that number.
You're right. It adds up to. You're right. You know, you're right. It adds up to 1,000 megawatts. Right. Just a minute. 1 watt for 1 million people.
A kilowatt for 1 million people.
Right.
Is 1 gigawatt running all the time.
It's 1,000 megawatts. It's right. It's
1,000 megawatts.
It is a
times
gigawatt.
10,000 hours.
It is a gigawatt. But look, what I said that we're putting out is 2 gigawatts. So you're in the ballpark.
Okay. And we're selling a lot of it, of course.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Like
okay, that's right.
10 100-watt light bulbs
it is
for every man,
and
woman, and child.
That's right. Yeah. Well, make it 20 because we had a factor of 2, except that we're selling some of it. So you're about right. If you just figure out your consumption, it's the equivalent of 10 light bulbs. See, the industrial users are a big factor. You know, when you say 1 million people, there's the street lights in the city. There's a lot of stuff. It's not like the stuff in your house. Your house, you got a 200 amp service, but a lot of houses, they only have the old 100 amp service, and they're still doing okay. If you got a 100 amp service, I mean, then your peak with all the fuse and circuits going is only...
20 kilowatts is still a lot. Because it's 100 volts, 200 amps.
It's 10 kilowatts, that's right, yeah. Okay. So if you had everything going in your house with a 100 amp service, you're good for about 10 kilowatts.
Yeah.
So if you had 5 people in your house, you can see your figure is that they're using 5 kilowatts and that their service is good for 10. Let's do a song. This is idiotic topic. So here's a song that was a big radio hit for a Canadian country singer named Mark Midler. And the thing about this guy is he's got this real gravelly, bassy voice. It's a hell of a thing. And we're not going to attempt to duplicate it. He's that guy, I'm sleeping with you in my dreams again. I'm just going to try and sing it straight in my own natural voice. I forget the words. Here we go. I don't know how to tell you I was sleeping with you last night. In love we lay together till the morning light. Kisses sweet as honey, rough skin on smooth, pillow talking sweet things to you. I'm sleeping with you in my dreams again, but in real life I know that we're only friends. I tried to tell you, but I haven't yet. I'm sleeping with you in my dreams again. Our hands almost touch, and I'm wondering if you can read my mind. How I long to hold you the whole night through, pillow talking sweet things to you. I'm sleeping with you in my dreams again. But in real life I know that we're only friends. I tried to tell you, but I haven't yet. I'm sleeping with you in my dreams again. Little guitar. I tried to tell you, but I haven't yet. I'm sleeping with you in my dreams again. Right. Yeah. This organ's got some of that growl in it that I wanted. The voice doesn't have it, but the organ's got it. Nice picking. Now, I was really looking forward to doing this topic. I've wanted to do this topic all my life, and I've been spending all the time talking about just Manitoba hydro, and I didn't get around to relating this $400 million of energy to any other interesting quantity, and now I'm going to try and do it, because it's really funny the way this all works. Because the thing is, all forms of energy cost about the same amount of money. So the thing is, if you know how much energy costs, here's what I want to convert it to. I got $400 million of energy, and I know it's a big pile of energy, and I want to say that oil costs 40 cents a liter. 40 cents a liter. And how much oil could you buy for $400 million? You could buy, well, it's 4/10 of a dollar, and here's 4/10 of $1 billion. So you could buy 1 billion liters of oil. So we've got 1 billion liters of oil. 1 billion liters of oil weighs about 1 billion kilograms. And since there's 1,000 kilograms in a ton, then it comes to about 1 million tons. Equals 1 million tons equals 1 megaton. 1 megaton. 1 megaton. And the thing about energy is that energy derived from chemical sources, whether it's the combustion of gasoline or the combustion of wood or whatever you're talking about, it's all about, you know, the same pound for pound. They're all good for about the same energy. So when they say 1 megaton of oil, it contains about the same energy value as 1 megaton, say, of TNT. And when they talk about a 1 megaton bomb, they're talking about the same amount of energy as a megaton of TNT. Of course, it doesn't weigh 1 million tons because it's a nuclear bomb. But it's the same amount of energy as the amount of oil equivalent to the energy output of Manitoba hydro. It's like if you took the whole output of all the dams on the Nelson River and cranked them in 1/millionth of a second all into one place. That would be a 1 megaton bomb. It's interesting comparison. And one lesson we might learn from this is that these bombs are very big bombs. They say, what did the U.S. have? About 10,000 of those big bombs stockpiled for the bad day when we had to push the big button?
It's a big
Thousands
number.
of them. Thousands of those bombs. Now, when we say the energy crisis, that we don't have any way of converting at the present time clean nuclear energy without all these waste disposal problems, and, you know, if we could only have nuclear fusion as a source of energy instead of nuclear fission, it might be better, but, you know, what are we going to do with our limited energy resources? In the crunch, really in the crunch, our energy resources are very, very much unlimited, because supposing we were in a war and they really did cut off all our oil supplies and we were desperate for energy, and for a while no one was paying any attention to, like, environmentalists who said we can't do this and we can't do that. The country needed energy, they wanted it very badly. Now, could we convert fusion energy into electricity? I think we could dig a big hole and drop one of those bombs into the hole and blow up the big bomb. And then pour water in the hole, and as the water boiled, it would generate steam for a whole year that would provide us all our electrical needs. I can't see why that wouldn't work. I mean, it might be an environmental disaster. But it's something people would do if they needed energy badly enough. It's a topic that we will perhaps return to on another day. I wonder if we should just return to the instruments and do a little song.
I actually thought you were going to now relate this to the flow of water, so like liters per second of water that's flowing into the Hudson's Bay.
The topic is infinite. Of course I should do that. I'll do that next week's show. I mean, the topic is... No, wasn't thinking of doing it, but I'll do it, because you see...
You actually talked about that once many years ago.
You see, the thing is, there's no limit to you could talk about this for a year. People ask me where I get my topics. I mean, it's a topic like this you get started on, you just can't stop. What do we got for a song? What do we got for a song? Okay, let me do that Desperado, key of F sharp. Conway Twitty, should I just ride in and steal you away? Don't know what else to do. I got a desperado love for you. They say you belong to another man. The first time we met, I knew I'd have a desperado love for you. I know that it breaks every rule to feel the way I'm feeling, but I want your love so desperately, I don't see the wrong in stealing. Hold on, I'm gonna shoot for the heart like desperados do. I got a desperado love for you. Let those chords